The terrifying facade behind Rich Legacy, a paranormal tale. When the night fell, and the opulent mansion echoed with eerie silence, Richard found himself alone in the expansive estate while his family enjoyed a distant vacation. The mansion harbored a mysterious past, casting a shadow over the affluent history of the family. After midnight, as Richard immersed himself in his work within the study, he felt an abrupt shift in the atmosphere. A chilling breeze swept through the room, and books floated in the air as if guided by an unseen force. Initially dismissing it as a mere gust of wind, Richard's perception changed when an indistinct shadow manifested in the middle of the room as the lights flickered and darkness enveloped the space. Richard's heart raced. A palpable sense of not being alone gripped him. His eyes adjusted to reveal an obscure figure emerging from a corner, its features shrouded in impenetrable darkness. The shadow began recounting a tragic family incident from the past. The wealth of the family, once a source of pride, now concealed a grim history that the shadow bore witness to. Throughout the night, the shadow animated memories of the past, guiding Richard through forgotten rooms and concealed passageways. Events unfolded, exposing a dark secret behind a series of horrifying occurrences in the family's history. Richard found himself navigating the labyrinthine corridors and secret chambers, confronting not only the ghosts of the past, but also interacting with them. The tale went beyond the surface of the family's opulence. True horror resided in the shadows within the depths of the mansion. As dawn approached, the shadow vanished abruptly. Lights flickered back to life, and the room returned to normalcy. However, Richard had now confronted the terrifying truth hidden behind the rich legacy. His paranormal experience had merged with the mansion's history and ghosts, leaving him in a state of profound horror. Awaiting his family's return, Richard resolved to confront the darkness within the mansion's depths. He was prepared to battle the frightening facade of the family legacy and make peace with the ghosts. This paranormal narrative, where reality and darkness intertwine, promises readers a gripping experience of deep suspense and horror. Echoes of the past, unraveling the veil of time. In the aftermath of that paranormal night, the mansion, draped in an oppressive silence, seemed to be holding tightly onto its age-old secrets. Richard, tormented by the events that transpired, found himself inexplicably drawn back to the study. It was as if an unseen force compelled him to peel back the layers of mystery embedded within the very fabric of the mansion's walls. As Richard delved deeper into the family archives, he stumbled upon a trove of letters, photographs, and artifacts that hinted at a clandestine society entwined with the family's vast wealth. Cryptic symbols and whispers of forgotten rituals emerged from the shadows, suggesting that the mansion harbored not just a tragic history, but an intricate web of secrets woven through time. One fateful night, the mansion stirred with spectral activity. Candlelight flickered mysteriously, and distant echoes of laughter from bygone decades reverberated through the corridors. Drawn by an ethereal melody, Richard followed its haunting strains through concealed passageways until he arrived at the heart of the mansion, a long-forgotten ballroom, draped in the tattered remnants of grandeur. As Richard stepped into the dilapidated space, shadows coalesced into the form of elegantly dressed figures frozen in a timeless waltz. The air crackled with residual energy as Richard sensed the spectral remnants of a celebration long lost to the ages. As the clock struck midnight, the figures stirred, engaging in a spectral masquerade that blurred the boundaries between the corporeal and the ethereal. Immersed in the spectral dance, Richard's senses were overwhelmed by fragments of the past: the joyous revelry, the intoxicating love, and the eventual tragedy that befell the mansion's residents. The figures whispered secrets of betrayal, lost love, and a curse that bound their souls to the mansion's echoing halls for all eternity. The ballroom dissolved, leaving Richard standing alone in a dimly lit corridor, haunted by the ghostly echoes of a bygone era. The paranormal energy lingered, and Richard realized that the mansion held not only the residue of past events, but also the weight of an unresolved history that yearned to be unraveled. Determined to confront the revelations, Richard embarked on an exhaustive exploration, discovering hidden chambers and secret passages that conceal the mansion's darkest truths. The whispers of the forgotten grew louder, guiding him towards a revelation that promised to shake the very foundations of the family's opulent legacy. Little did Richard know that the shadows, having laid dormant for years, were now stirring with an insatiable hunger for resolution. The mansion, it seemed, was resolute in unveiling the entirety of its tale, ensnaring Richard in a web of terror that transcended the bounds of time itself. As he delved further into the abyss of the unknown, Richard could feel the mansion's ominous heartbeat quickening, signaling the approach of a chilling climax that would expose the true horrors hidden within the depths of its haunted history. Veil of Shadows, the final reckoning. As Richard delved deeper into the enigmatic tapestry of the mansion's history, he felt the weight of the past pressing down upon him. The whispers of the forgotten had become insistent, guiding him through a labyrinth of secrets that led to the culmination of the mansion's spectral legacy. One stormy night, the mansion seemed to come alive with an otherworldly energy. Ethereal voices echoed through the corridors, mingling with the howling wind outside. Richard, undeterred by the ominous atmosphere, continued his journey through the mansion, determined to unravel the last shrouded mysteries. He stumbled upon a hidden chamber adorned with symbols and artifacts that hinted at a ritualistic past. It was here that Richard found an ancient tome, its pages filled with cryptic incantations and drawings depicting the mansion's cursed history. As he deciphered the arcane writings, a sudden gust of wind extinguished the candles, plunging the room into darkness. In the ensuing silence, Richard heard the soft murmur of spectral voices. The ghosts of the past materialized before him, recounting their stories with a desperate urgency. The curse that bound them to the mansion, the betrayals that stained its walls, and the tragedy that resonated through the years unfolded like a ghostly tapestry. The spirits implored Richard to break the curse, to release them from the shackles of their tortured existence. Guided by an otherworldly intuition, he followed their guidance to a forgotten chamber beneath the mansion, a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thinnest. Within the chamber, Richard discovered an ancient artifact, a relic infused with the malevolent energy that fueled the curse. As he hesitated, contemplating the enormity of his task, the spectral figures urged him forward with a profound sense of determination. He initiated a ritual to sever the mansion's unholy ties to the past. The atmosphere trembled with unseen forces as Richard recited incantations from the ancient tome. Shadows danced, and the air crackled with an electrifying energy. In that moment of climax, the mansion seemed to resist, its very essence pushing back against the intrusion. As the final words of the incantation left Richard's lips, a blinding light enveloped the chamber. The spirits, bathed in the ethereal glow, began to ascend, their faces expressing a mixture of gratitude and serenity. The mansion itself groaned, as if releasing a long-held breath. When the light faded, Richard found himself alone in the now quiet chamber. The storm outside had subsided, and an eerie calm settled over the mansion. The spectral figures were gone, their voices silenced. It was as if the mansion itself had exhaled, releasing the weight of its haunted history. With a heavy heart, Richard emerged from the hidden chamber, realizing that he had forever altered the mansion's destiny. The whispers of the forgotten had been replaced by a profound silence. The once ominous corridors now felt strangely tranquil. In the days that followed, the mansion underwent a transformation. The oppressive shadows lifted, replaced by a warm light that streamed through the windows. The air, once heavy with despair, now carried a sense of renewal. Richard, having confronted the darkest corners of the mansion's soul, found solace in the knowledge that he had broken the chains that bound the spirits to their tortured existence. As Richard walked away from the mansion, he cast one last glance over his shoulder. The grand estate, once a vessel of horror, stood reborn, its haunted legacy replaced by an air of serenity. The ghost of the past had found peace, and the mansion, no longer veiled in shadows, stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The tale of the mansion, with its layers of history and the echoes of the forgotten, faded into the annals of time. Richard, having faced the abyss and emerged transformed, carried with him the knowledge that sometimes even the darkest legacies could find redemption in the embrace of courage and understanding. And so the mansion stood, no longer haunted, but filled with the echoes of a past finally at rest.